I want to talk to you about officiating in 2024, okay? And I want to set this up completely here before you respond. The first thing, control room, do we have the clip of Yukon coach Jim Mora this week? If we could play that where Tim can hear it, I'd like to play that first.
I'm proud of them for fighting back. We've got to make sure that we put ourselves in a position where it doesn't come down to one play where an ACC team makes a horseshit call against an independent. And that's up to us to play better at the start of the game so it doesn't come down to that call, which was holding and PI. And that's what I told them, and we'll come back and we'll fight. So it's on us to play better earlier, but it'd sure be nice if it was a level playing field.
Questions, anyone?
Jim, I mean, obviously the way it came down is not...
Yeah, it was a hold and a PI. Hold and a PI. Here's your explanation. ACC versus independent. There's your explanation, Dom. It's pretty simple. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Tim, I do want to set this up completely, though, because this is not a one-off. This comes on the heels of several teams in the ACC feeling like they've gotten robbed against Miami with a couple close calls at the end of the Virginia Tech game and so on, and thinking, oh, the ACC's, the conference leadership is all in to make sure Miami goes undefeated, even though both of those calls I thought, they got right ultimately. And then this also comes on the heels of Texas officials overturning a call in Austin against Georgia, even though the call got right at the end. Obviously, fans throwing stuff on the field, it's a dangerous precedent. Yeah. You've been watching college football longer than any of us here and most people listening. So I just want to know from your perspective, are officials just the scapegoats anytime a team loses here? Or is there anything that's problematic right now in 2024 officiating that you haven't seen in years past?
The circumstances are problematic, but on a much wider scale in the landscape of college football. And that is, we need a czar. We need someone that can remove the veil of impropriety with these deals that are made in home and home situations. And in this case, let me tell you, Jim doesn't have to worry about a commissioner calling him, right? That was obvious. He doesn't have to worry about that. If any other head coach representing a conference said something like that, obviously we're talking about, a six-figure fine coming his way.
How much is Kirby going to get fined for saying that they tried to rob him?
Yeah, don't get me started on Kirby. Okay, my God.
I didn't mean to hijack the question. Keep going.
But the bottom line is, fellas, when I say college football needs a czar, I'm not just talking about the college football playoff and the egregious nature of the gerrymandering that takes place and was proven to be the case a year ago with Florida State. I do think we'll have similar stories this year with maybe a one-loss BYU, a one-loss Iowa State, or a one-loss Miami or Clemson, versus a three-loss SEC team that finishes fourth or fifth best in their league, or the Big Ten for that matter, if they happen to have a team that's metrics line up so much better than those particular schools that don't carry the brand names. I'm talking about the way the game is officiated on the field, not just what's going on in the smoke-filled rooms, when the Cardinals are in conclave, while game day is doing a filibuster for said team that Greg Sankey wants to see get in over Florida State, which was the case a year ago. And I don't give a damn who I piss off when I say it. We need a czar for college football, not a guy that's making the TV deals. The commissioners of those conferences, they are the ones that work on a daily basis, and they are the ones that serve at the pleasure of the presidents. But the people that govern college football need to be smart enough to know that moving forward, if you want to maintain the game's integrity on the field and off, if you want to limit situations like that. By the way, what Smart said, I will give this to Kirby, what he said about the dangerous precedent being set with the overturn, the point being made there to some extent has some merit, because until we have a czar that's playing the role of a Roger Goodell that can settle this stuff down when we have issues of this magnitude that are impacting the outcome of games that could have a reflection on the way the college football playoff is put together, then it's going to be this kind of thing over and over and over again. Pass interference or offensive pass interference is a subjective call that is defined during the course of a game, much like a block charge is in college basketball. And it's all and it's one way or the other. And there is a level of consistency to it most of the time. I don't think that was necessarily the case in the Georgia-Texas game, but it's something that players and coaches have to adjust to. So to your point, what can be done about it? College football and its leadership needs to understand that moving forward, not just with the business of college football, with the game itself, we need someone that's overseeing everything that's gone on so that we remove the veil of impropriety for the protection of those that have the best chance of cashing in at the end of the year. And until such time that happens, this is going to go on. And oh, by the way, the adoption of betting in our country and in this sport has already been seen to be problematic. And if you want to sell into betting, you better also understand that you've got to do something to maintain the integrity of the game on the field.
Well, David and Timmy B, to me, having the czar, not just to fix problems when they arise, but to bring in fresh new ideas. And Blaine, I want to give you some credit for this. You were talking about this before we came on the air today. Why is it so hard, if we're going to have the complaint about AC, because I think that is BS, that the conference of the affiliated with the team that's playing gets to officiate the game when the other team isn't in the same conference. To me, that's like
it's been
saying
that way forever.
It has, but it still doesn't make it right. You know what I'm saying? So, like, to me, that's like saying, all right, well, you're going to take the ACT. You get to take it at your middle school, right, or your high school where you go, but we're going to let this other girl's parent who doesn't go here proctor the test.
Yeah, but like, with the ACC right now, and that's I understand why Coach Moore is upset with that, where the ACC fans right now are saying, wait, we're in the same conference as Miami, but y'all just want one of the teams to stay undefeated so badly that you're favoring them on calls so that they make the college football playoff. I don't think necessarily that's happening. I'm just saying I've seen enough of it that I thought it warranted a question.
Well, to me, that's an argument of not the nefariousness of why you made the call because you're from the same conference as one team. That's like a fight in the house as opposed to a fight out the house. That's just about you favoring a team within the conference. But why can we not, in a billion-dollar industry in college football that has these Hall of Fames and these humongous stadiums and these hundreds of millions of dollars TV deals, one of the most important elements of the game are the officials. Why are they not full-time employees? Why do we have ACC officials? Why do we have SEC officials? Make them full-time employees, not selling State Farm insurance half the year, and then going and calling the damn Yukon whoever game. Like, let's just have everybody.
Let me take you back to what just happened not quite 2 weeks ago, okay? The Oregon-Ohio State OPI story, okay? Remember that? Okay. So much was made of that in the aftermath of it. And prior to that play, we had 12 men on the field, and Dan Lanning, decided to, because he didn't like the question. The only reason Dan Lanning was as authentic as he was is because one of the questioners in the press conference dared to say to him, you brought out a 12th player with man-to-man coverage. He was like, no, we had a guy over the top. We had protected his football mind. No, I didn't do that. We had a safety over the top. We weren't in zero coverage. I mean, it was so authentic. All right. He said, we practiced this before. It was a rule that he knew existed, and he had practiced how we are going to do this to make sure that we get it right and take the penalty as opposed to be in a position where we could lose the game. And it turned out, what happened? The NCAA immediately, Steve Shaw, who's in charge of NCAA officiating, said, we're fixing this and we're fixing it right now. Well, he can do that. He can enforce that rule. It's a little bit like a president, instead of asking for congressional help, making an executive order. That was an executive order from Steve Shaw. Well, we should have that when it comes to rules in college football. Have you ever looked at who makes up the rules committee for the NCAA? It's garbage. We got people that have no dogs in the hunt whatsoever that get involved in what should be points of emphasis. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And what are the referees doing in these games? They are serving at the pleasure of what? The supervisor of officials in their league. Again, their league. Not serving at the pleasure of all of college football.
Yes.
They want to work, so they're taking care of their said supervisors. Steve Shaw left the SEC, for an opportunity to make a bigger difference. I think that ruling was an outstanding one. And it's a lesson that the guys like Sankey and Petiti and Yormark and all these other commissioners, Jim Phillips, should understand. Let Steve Shaw be your final voice.
Yeah.
Let him assign these officials. And let's put these officials from all the different conferences into a national pool. And they're going to have to travel a little further now.
Yeah, he can afford it. Yeah.
It may not be as convenient. So you may not have 4 out of how many officials from Birmingham down in T-Town to call the Alabama game in the SEC. 2 blanking bad.
Yeah.
We're going to add some integrity to the game. And that's something that needs to transpire. And the sooner it takes place, the better. Fellas, this has been going on for 30 plus years. Okay. I was on the phone once with Mark Womack, who was the associate commissioner of the SEC, after I had said something pretty disparaging about SEC officials while I was on the air.
No, not you, Timmy
Imagine
B.
that.
Yeah.
Imagine that. It was Johnny Majors was still coaching at Tennessee, and they're playing Auburn. Clock is winding down after completion, and the clock should have been stopped after the first down. It wasn't, and they let it play out. And I absolutely, and Bino was with me in the studio, we absolutely nailed it. I mean, we nailed it. And Mark called, and I've got nothing but respect for Mark Womack, still do. But Mark got on the phone with me, and he was like, Tim, this is just not something that, Commissioner Kramer's it's going to be tough. And I said, Mark, listen, I love Roy Kramer, okay? And I love the SEC. But I said what I saw.
Yeah.
And nothing is going to make me unsee that. And so he says, well, what you're doing is you're undermining the integrity of the officials. I said, so be it. You guys are putting them in a position to be undermined.
Yeah.
And that was going on in the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's still going on. There's so much about college football that has gotten better, so much that's improved, including what we're doing with the postseason. But by God, fellas, what's going on, these issues that we have on the field have been there for generations, and we have to update it. Just like these commissioners need to update the nebulous and god-awful lack of criteria that we have with the selection process of the 12 teams. And you know what? I'm not just a time and temperature play-by-play guy. And no SEC fan, just because I'm not calling your games doesn't mean I'm not watching your games. So I'm going to talk about the SEC every bit as much now that I'm at Fox as I ever did when I was at CBS or ESPN. And if you don't like that, put it in your peace pipe and put it where the sun don't shine.
I love it, TB. All right, Blake, what do we got? All right, let's go to LB. LB, what's up? He wants to know, #Ask Timmy, is anyone playing better than Whit Weeks right now? I think he's the best linebacker in college football.
Well, I don't know that I'd go there. I'd say he's the best linebacker LSU has, and he's been their most valuable commodity from a defensive standpoint. And his emergence is just incredible. That play made at the end, with the tip and the catch. I mean, that was just an incredible play. I kind of tell you, it reminded me a little bit.
Say it. Honey Badger?
Go back to George.
You going to say Honey Badger?
You guys know and love our old friend from ESPN that was kicked off game day, Georgia Bulldog, a Gwinnett County
DP.
boy. So you remember Pollock made plays like that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, all the time. And Weeks looked a lot like David Pollock, I thought, on that particular play.
Definitely.
Even though Pollock didn't play the same position, he was a rush end or linebacker, if you will. But Weeks made a tremendous play. First team All SEC, I'd say that's in its future without a doubt.
What's up, YouTube? Yeah, we appreciate you being here as usual. Do me a favor, though. Before you go in the kitchen and make a snack or get back on the video games or do whatever you kids do nowadays, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it. And stop mimicking me, Blaine. I can see you out of the corner of my eyes.